fairly good idea is the shape of the body, physical shape. Imagine, one of those statues back in the Roman or Greek time. These guys are all built. They don't have an ounce of fat. You can visibly see the muscles and everything. So imagine that, and then imagine when you go to, say, Walmart, you go to a restaurant, you look at the in general shape of some men, and we can think of it as either pear-shaped or apple-shaped. Now, these are the deposit of fat tissue in our body is a telltale sign of what probably we're suffering from. Again, this is just looking at it without having any tests or any measurements done. And testosterone is one of those things that makes us men have a larger belly, get bigger in the midsection. Another telltale sign is when you see a gentleman that has enlarged breasts. I'm not talking about the guy who bench presses 300 pounds. I'm talking about the regular guy. So breast enlargement is a telltale sign of testosterone deficiency as well. So what are some of the other hormones that we talked about? As I mentioned, testosterone is one player, the main player, but there's others. We already alluded to the work of thyroid gland, T3 and T4. T3 is short for liothyronine sodium, and T4 is for levothyroxine sodium. You may know people or have heard of people who take either Synthroid or levothyroxine for their thyroid. That's the hormone, that's the T4 that I'm talking about. So T3 is imagine the cylinder in your car and the engine. So the gas comes in, air comes in, it gets compressed, but it needs a spark. So T3 in our cells is that spark that we need. With that T3, not much is happening. T4 basically is a storage hormone. The next hormone is DHEA. That stands for dehydroepiandrosterone. We just call it DHEA for shorted, abbreviated version. It has a lot to do with brain health, with the way our bodies fight infections, and with reducing systemic inflammation. DHEA is an over-the-counter supplement here in America, but in Canada, it's a controlled substance. So it just tells you different laws, different rules, different set of information. Melatonin is another one that gets declined by our age, or a decline of it causes aging. We know melatonin is over the counter as well, and it's done for, promoting sleep, jet lag, that sort of thing. But I use melatonin in my practice mainly to help balance serotonin. Serotonin is that neurotransmitter that has a lot to do with whether somebody is depressed or somebody is not depressed. Melatonin and serotonin, they're like a seesaw. You don't want to have too much of one or the other, but you got to have just the right amount of each. The next hormone to consider and to be aware of is cortisol. Cortisol is that hormone that, excuse me, imagine if you're crossing the street and then when you see a car coming, your fight or flight mode kicks in. That is your first responders. That is epinephrine, norepinephrine. But your second responders are cortisol. So cortisol gets secreted through the glands that sit on top of our kidneys when we are exposed to prolonged stress. What does that mean? Or it can be even perceived prolonged stress. Say, if somebody has a job and they really don't like their job, or they're having this business deal or that business contract or that relationship or what have you, that either causes a lot of stress or it causes perceived stress. The body sees them the same. So cortisol will get secreted. We have high levels for a while until the glands essentially give out. We either run out of the starting materials or we lose the ability to make them due to sustained use. So during the time that cortisol is up high is when we get really big in the middle. And then after that, when the cortisol level is down due to fatigue, is when we have no energy. If you've heard of people or have seen people who as soon as they wake up, they're like, I'm so tired. I just want to lay down in bed. Or by 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they're just ready for a nap to lay down. That is one of the hormones that can be, that needs to be looked at just to make sure we're not looking at a deficiency past that. The other hormone I have here is insulin. Everybody's probably heard of insulin. That's the hormone that if we don't have enough of it, it's called diabetes mellitus type 1 or insulin dependent diabetes. And if you have too much of it, or our body doesn't process it the way it should, it's called, heading towards diabetes mellitus type 2, which is not insulin dependent. It's an anabolic hormone. It builds things, but too much of it is definitely problematic. All right, so what do I do with this information? What do I, and what do I do about my aging, really? There's two main paths. Number one is essentially to do nothing and say, grow old gracefully. That sentence is actually a sentence of a friend of mine, a buddy of mine. We do jujitsu together in Chapel Hill, and he's in his mid-50s. He's a specialist physician at Duke, and we're talking about this one day, and he said that, anyways, so his response was that, Hamid, I want to grow old gracefully, and I just want to do it. And that's perfectly fine. It's a choice. And to me, it sounds like he wants to be sitting in a comfortable wheelchair a few years down, 10, 15 years down from now, and watching other people. But I want to be the person that's not in the wheelchair. I want to be the person that still has energy, zest, and oomph and power to go out and do things. None of this, gentlemen, can add a second to the duration of our lives. Nobody will say that. If they say that, I don't think that's a correct statement, because when it's time to go, it's time to go, right? However, what this does, it adds a lot of quality to our days and years. The question is, do you want to grow old with a bag of medication by your side? Or do you want to grow old with not so much medication, ride your bicycle, paddle your paddle board, climb the mountain, do the hiking, play, backyard football, whatever it is that you enjoy doing? There's a choice. Some questions that I get asked by my male patients is, well, is it really necessary? I think we kind of nailed that down, that it is necessary. And sometimes they ask, low T, do I have low T? What's low T? Low T stands for low testosterone. Low T is a term that was coined by testosterone manufacturer, drug manufacturer companies, because they have a product to sell. It's a good product. I'm glad it's there, but it's also done to promote conversation, but their motive is different. They say, ask your doctor if this product, this gel, is right for you. That means, excuse me, come buy my product. So I'm glad that it's there, and it promotes a conversation. This is the golden question: does testosterone replacement therapy cause prostate cancer? If you ask many pharmacists and many doctors, because they read the same information, they say, yes, it does. However, I disagree, and I'm not the only one who disagrees, and it's not based on my original research. It's based on the research of Dr. Morgentaler. Dr. Morgentaler was the head urologist at Harvard Medical Center, and he's retired now. He has a book on it, and he really debunks this, and it goes back to the fact that most people, when they read something or hear something, they do not turn the page, and they do not refer to the original research. They quote somebody else who has quoted somebody else who's quoted somebody else. But the original work for testosterone placement, for testosterone causing cancer, is not even on human patients, it's on dogs. So it's amazing that I certainly don't want to be treated based on information that was generated out of treatment of dogs. But whatever the evidence is there, I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to try to read the paper and see what it says. What can it do for me? Well, it can undo a lot of things that it has been done. You're never too old to start testosterone replacement therapy, for example. Never, because you're never too old to want to have a better life. You're never too old to want to have more energy and to want to enjoy life. Do I need to be monitored if I go on there? Yes, you absolutely do need to be monitored by people who know what they're doing. Just like when you buy a ticket and board an airplane, you have somebody else flying the airplane for you, monitoring it, and then you have other people maintaining it for you. Yes, you're the passenger. However, you have to rely on other people to do that. Can I do testosterone replacement therapy on my own? No, you cannot. Testosterone is a controlled substance in most countries, but here we're here. So in the US, it is a controlled substance. You can only get it from a pharmacy, a legal pharmacy, not one of these online ones, and also from your doctor with a prescription. Where do I begin? Again, in terms of treatment, we have to understand that we have options. How do I know what's the right option for me and who will guide me through the process? So beginning is by thinking, do I really need this? Beginning is by thinking, well, I want to call my healthcare provider and ask him or her a question. Hey, doc, how about testing my testosterone levels? How about this? Is that the right option for me? That's, of course, after you decide that you don't want to do nothing and you don't want to do self-treatment. There's also natural remedies that are advertised. You'll always have somebody on the internet who's trying to sell you something. You always have people who swear by things they haven't even tried or they're not scientific. So that option is available out there. Then there's the traditional hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. Now, a lot of primary care work is going to be focusing on if you're deficient in testosterone, I'm only going to give you testosterone. And my goal in that is I want to bring you within the normal range, and then I want to leave you. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think that the best approach is a comprehensive approach that looks at your nutrition, your sleep, looks at your physical activities, your lifestyle. Do you have a sedentary lifestyle or do you have an active lifestyle? What all can we do? Remember, if you do testosterone replacement therapy, is one component of a part of a comprehensive approach. Just like, you have five people on a basketball team. No one is a replacement for somebody else, but you need them all to have a coherent and functioning unit. Okay. And this is more about treating really the whole body. Another thing that I hear is, well, one doctor can do one thing for me, but he's not going to look at my nutrition. He's not going to be concerned with my weight. He just tells me, hey, just go ahead, enjoy the sunshine, eat plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, and you'll be okay. Is that really the approach that I need, or do I need a plan? We also need to have realistic goals out of this. Gentlemen, we're all here over 18. Nobody can take us back to when we were 18 years old. We can read hard and slow down this process. We can even regenerate some tissues with the PRP treatment and stem cell therapy if somebody decides to do that or wants to spend money, invest in their own health. But what we're looking at is a state of harmony. When you listen to a piece of symphony, or you go watch them, there may be 50, 60, 70 different people playing separate instruments, but you do not hear any one of them overcast the others. You do not hear the violin being so loud or so fast. You hear a harmonious piece, and that is the idea with replacing your hormones, just like the way we were created. Everything in normal cases is like that. So a recap of what the plan should look like, something similar to this. They look at your thyroid levels, not just give you testosterone, but look at your thyroid levels, measure your blood sugar, something that we call hemoglobin A1C, the sugar over the past 90 days to see how you're doing. Looking at your insulin level, looking at your estrogen, and yes, men have estrogen as well, just like women do. And also, they need to understand who you are health-wise today. It doesn't matter 5, 10 years ago who you were. We're here. Our bodies change all the time. We also need to have realistic goals. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? If I'm starting, say, a college basketball team in the first year, it's not reasonable for me to want to win a national championship. I got to work towards it. I may get there, but I certainly have to work towards it. Also, they will put in monitoring parameters. If you go to a doctor who wants to replace a hormone for you, and they say, here's your hormone, and I'll see you in 6 months or in a year, that probably is not a good idea. You need to be monitored every 3 months or so, just to see how your body is handling those things. And a word on normal lab values. I like to illustrate that by An example, if you have your blood tested for vitamin D, for example, which is a super hormone, but unfortunately we call it a vitamin, so it kind of loses some credibility, but doesn't change the fact. Vitamin D blood work is from 30 to 100. From 30 to 100, that's a 70 unit gap. If your value is 31, the nurse can call you and say, hey, Hamid, yeah, your blood work is normal. We don't need to do anything. If my value is 99, I'm still normal. Well, how could a 31 and a 99 be normal? Do you see? So there's some problem in the methodology of how we define normal. Some people do statistical work on it, and remember, if we measure, say, 10,000 80-year-old men and measure their testosterone level, for example, do we expect to find a high level of testosterone? Of course not. And we measure it and say, let's make up a number. Say it's from 250 to 300, right? And then we say, what's normal? And then when you go to the doctor, they say, oh, you're at 251, you're normal. That's normal for somebody who has not had any replacement done. That's normal for somebody who is suffering in their condition, or it's normal for somebody who is not at their optimal level. Say, based on research, we find that the optimal level is really at the level of 900, and it's not a 250. And then you're 250 and there's 900. You see there's a large gap, and that large gap, that distance really explains how the way you're not feeling, the distance between that and the way you should be feeling. Do you see? So don't accept normal as normal. Always ask the question, so what does that mean? Where does that range come from? Why am I, if I'm and these ranges, gentlemen, they change by time too. Say every 10 or 15 years, LabCorp or Spectrum, they decide to shift what's normal, either higher or lower. And I think it really has to do with the way they want to pay for these labs. It has nothing to do with your optimal health. So you see, you are the captain of your ship, of your health, of your life. So you have to ask questions. And if that means that the existing system is not there to really take care of you, but it's there to fix what's broken only, then it's up to you to be more proactive and ask the right questions. In terms of testosterone options, allopathic means what we see out there every day. Your primary care, that sort of thing. They can prescribe you testosterone injections, nothing wrong with them, great option. They can prescribe you testosterone gels. The issue with gels is that sometimes depending on who makes them, what company, they put them in these cups, and you have to put them under your arm in the morning. It's just messy, and the chances are that can get transferred onto another person in the household. If you hug a child, if you pick up your pet, or next time you take a shower, some of that's still on your skin and gets transferred onto the towel, which may not be good for other people who may live with you. So, and then there's the creams are much cleaner, in my opinion, because creams don't run as much and they can be more concentrated than gels. Testosterone pellet this is the Lexus and Mercedes of therapy. And there's a lot of doctors in North Carolina that do that. Pellets are the size of a grain of rice. So you need 2 or 3 of them, or whatever the computer algorithm says based on your level. Doctor makes a 3-millimeter incision, put them in, put a Band-Aid on it, have a nice day. And you're good for 3 to 4 months. So those are the top of the line therapy if you wanted to do that. Another method to look at is having testosterone compounded for you by a compounding pharmacy. But this, like other testosterone, it has to be done based on a prescription. And they use testosterone USP grade, which means it's the purest grade. And the molecule is just like the testosterone you already have in your system. Your body doesn't know the difference. So a word on supplementation. Okay, well, you're talking about hormone replacement therapy. What about other things that I need to be doing every day for myself? Well, there's a lot you can do for yourself. The reality is that because the topsoil over the past century or so, the top couple of inches of topsoil in the country has been eroded because we plant so much and we harvest so much, we plant so much, we harvest so much, that a lot of food that you pay a lot of money for, expensive, say from Trader Joe's or Harris Teeter or Food Line or someplace, they're depleted in nutrients, and nutrients are very, very important in the way your body functions. Mineral deficiency is the root of some diseases. To make the matters worse, many medications, not all, but many medications also deplete your body of nutrients and minerals. Say, for example, aspirin. So your doctor says, hey, Hamid, I want you to take a baby aspirin or, an adult aspirin every day. It's good for you, no problem. But aspirin itself does deplete my body of copper and zinc. Hydrochlorothiazide or HCTZ, we know it as the water pill. Sometimes we take it alone for high blood pressure, and sometimes it is mixed with other high blood pressure medications. Those also deplete the body. If you take a medication for one of the statins for cholesterol, they deplete the body of coenzyme Q10, and some medications for high blood pressure, they do the same thing as well. So there is a lot to consider, and wherever you go, you seek this, make sure that they ask you questions, you ask them questions to come up with a plan in terms of what to eat as well. What do I do? So remember, this is all about you. Talk to your doctor. And if you don't get the satisfactory response from your doctor, talk to another doctor. Just keep in mind that if you line up 10 doctors and those 10 doctors have read the same book, they're going to give you the same answer. That doesn't make them 10 times right? Because the source is still the same. So ask questions, and remember that this is not an event. This is not like fighting an infection. Like I go to my doctor, I get replacement therapy for 3 months, and then my problem is not going to go away. Gentlemen, this is like farming. This is exactly like farming. You're going to get out of it exactly what you put in it. It requires monitoring, adjustments, and requires your patience. But eventually, you and your doctor will come to a level for you that at that level, you're not going to have side effects. You're not going to have issues that you didn't have before, but you're going to be optimal at an optimal peak performance for you. And a lot of life is out there waiting for you, a lot of enjoyments out there waiting for you. So that wraps up my presentation, and I'll pause here to see if there are any questions or comments.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Hamid, for
Thank you.
updating us and giving us some very, very vital information. This is a session of what we call straight talk that we do on a monthly basis. So normally after we have a presentation, we'll just kind of do some talking and conversate amongst ourselves and as a group to get some practicalities out of what has been shared and whatever questions that may be needed to be asked, any comments, anything that anybody has on their mind that they want to get more clarification, or even if something wasn't mentioned that you may have a question about, the floor is now open. And I'll give my spiel in a minute.
All right, Doc, can you hear me? Testing one,
Yes.
two.
Yes.
I am elated. I am so impressed. Thank God Almighty. Thank God Almighty. This subject started with me 2 days ago when the infamous Ronnie Coleman's status every now and then pops up on social media, and everybody starts talking about steroids and various things that happen, and it leads to low T, and it leads to where we're at today. And by God, I just, I'm like, wow, what a relevant subject. And I just want to, ask um, holistically, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can so my body could produce things naturally. My body can produce the testosterone, the hormone balances. My body can do all of that naturally, and uh, I can see the clinical side that you presented today was dynamic. I think I watched this show twice. Then you guys can give me my medical paperwork, right? uh, but you served it well on a platter. I understand why I got to go buy a D cup bra now. And I was like, wait a minute, now am I getting breast here? What's going on? Uh, then I get to working out and I get to adjusting things. And so I want to say thank you, but my question is
Sure.
holistically, I want to, if you can do a summary, all that I could do, diet, exercise,
Mhm.
should I go get tested to see what my testosterone level is? Or, uh, you know, I just want to do all the most proactive things I can do. I know that ED hit me one time. What did you call it? Erectile dysfunction. But I'm single, so I'm not in. I don't have a full-time job taking care of a lady. And I said, well, maybe that came because of that. And but I just wanted to throw that in general, and you can respond how you like. But thank you,
Sure.
thank you.
Sure. Absolutely, Vernon. Thank you very much. I appreciate
You got
your
to keep the
interest.
wood hot.
Thank you. I
You heard
What,
that?
Doc? What you talking
You
about,
heard
Doc?
that?
I
Doc
ain't hear
heard me
nothing.
on that. Hey, look, let me just cut to the chase. Yeah. Don't let this guy fool you. He's all prim and proper. He's a professional now. But this guy
Yeah.
here was he was a major kingpin.
So what?
Me and
What you
this
say
guy
with
used
the?
to have some fun, man. We had big fun, big fun, big fun. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
Don't
But go
don't
ahead
try
and
to
ask
pull
his
out no
question, man. I just
don't
had to
try to
throw that
pull out
joke
no
in.
criminal history. He trying to pull us some criminal history. I,
You don't
I
want
don't
to
know what
see
he's
his
talking
past
about.
resume.
Well, look, that's why he get ready to give me some expert advice, staying relevant in society, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I'm
All right.
ready.
All right, Vernon. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, Stefan, for stopping what you did. So
Look at this guy.
So yeah, so Vernon, here's the thing. Yeah, your question is an awesome one and it's a good one, and I'm glad that it resonates with you, the information that I provided. But I don't think you're looking at a difficult fix for what you're describing. See, and I'm glad you're open into taking responsibility. You're really asking me, hey, what can I do first, and then what I can expect others to do for me. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is great. So what you can do for yourself in the order of importance, and none of this really cost much of anything, if anything at all. Number one, you have to focus on getting a good night's sleep every single night. Now, there's reasons, medical reasons that's talk for another presentation I could go into, but just take my word for it. If you sleep between 6 to 8 hours, quality sleep, and make sure you don't have sleep apnea. For some of my guys have sleep apnea, they can't sleep flat, so they use pillows, they prop up on the left side, and they get quality sleep. Something that simple can set your body ready for the next day's activity, and it also can save your heart. It lowers your blood pressure, it saves your heart from, decreases your chances of having a heart attack, which is a really good thing. That's number one. Number two, make sure that you take vitamin D, as in David, vitamin D supplementations. I mentioned earlier that the level is between 30 and 100. Make sure you're close to 100. You want to make sure you're hugging that line, because research has shown, research published in Journal of the American Medical Association, they had a prospective study, looked at a bunch of other studies on vitamin D, has shown that once your values of vitamin D are in the 650s, 60s, 70s, statistically speaking, your chances of catching many kinds of cancers is very small. So the higher your vitamin D level, the healthier you're going to live. The lower your vitamin D level, the higher your risk of exposure to all these remarkable diseases. Do you see? And it's something simple you can do. You can go by your local vitamin shop, get a good. So, how much vitamin D do I take? I don't know why these healthcare professionals are so scared of vitamin D. I have no idea. I mean, they're looking at it the wrong way. In my experience, I've been doing this for 20 years in Cary, North Carolina. So I'm assuming here on this call, everybody's from North Carolina, at least, Eastern US. So the angle of the sun isn't all that different. That's where I'm going with that. When I have a patient on 5,000 international units of vitamin D a day, that's 5 and 3 zeros, they're barely maintaining whatever they are. So if their levels are low at 5,000 IUs a day, they're still low. I have to be more aggressive, and I know now to take them to 10,000. So you want 10,000, and they do sell gel caps, tablets for this. They're not expensive at all. Sometimes they sell drops. I mean, this is the best thing you can do. Take you about 10,000 international units a day for 3 months, and then lower it down to 5,000. If you take it 10,000 to 3 months, it's going to take you to a high level, and 5,000 is maintenance. Then you maintain it there, if that makes sense. If your vitamin D level is low and you go to your doctor, they measure and say, Vernon, you're low. Here's what I want to do for you. I'm going to write you 6 to 8 capsules. Each one is 50,000. Take one a week. And then come back to see me after 6 weeks or 8 weeks. And then they run a blood test. Your value from, say, a 15 or a 20 jump to 67 or an 80. They're like, Vernon, good job. We've done it. Thank you. Have a nice day. I see you next year. And then your vitamin D level drops. Here's how that scenario works. If I come to you and say, Vernon, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten, and I really have malnutrition because I haven't eaten, you tell me, I'm going to collect all the food worth of 2 weeks that you can eat. I'm going to have you eat it in one setting, or once a week. You can eat as much as you want, but just once a week for 6 weeks. And then after 6 weeks, I'm going to leave you alone. For what exactly are we treating here? So you're overloading me with super physiological dosages once a week for 6 weeks, then you're leaving me alone. And of course, that level is going to continue to drop. Next year you go, the cycle starts. I don't understand why my colleagues don't think about this and don't process it, that this is a human being that you need to solve their problem. So instead of giving them super dose, a highly concentrated dose once a week and hoping for the best and then leaving alone, how about giving them the right dose, take the level up, and then maintain them at that right level? So vitamin D is another one that you absolutely have to do. Also get you a good multivitamin. A good multivitamin is the one that you take 2 times daily. You take half of it, or maybe one. If the dose is like 2 tablets a day, take 1 tablet in the morning, 1 tablet in the evening, and make sure it has minerals in it, because we have prostate glands, and one of the minerals that goes to support the prostate gland and also the thyroid gland and other glands is zinc. Zinc and copper are super critical. So make sure whatever formulation you get, make sure it's a decent brand, good brand, not the cheapest one, but a good brand, and make sure you're supporting your prostate gland also. So vitamin supplementation, especially vitamin D, I mentioned that separately, a multivitamin, and also sleep. Those are the main things you can do for yourself at home, outside the home. Again, I don't know if you like to exercise or what kind of physical activities you like to do. If you have a smartwatch or a smartphone, or get a Fitbit, a $15 Fitbit, try to walk, swim, do something that you enjoy, but you can do consistently, and work about 10,000 steps a day. Now, you may not do it in the first week or first month. It doesn't matter because it's not a race. So you want to walk 10,000 steps and keep track of it. And if you can make it 12,000 steps, 15,000, that's great. And you don't have to do it all at once. You can do some in the morning, you can do some in the evening. As long as you're up and moving, you're doing a whole lot more for your body. You're lubricating your joints, you're detoxifying yourself. You're doing a lot of things without really knowing. You can listen to your podcast, whatever it is that you want to do. So those are some important things that you do. But in terms of, those are natural and holistic, because vitamin D is something that you and I have in our bodies. But in terms of testosterone, we don't have a good way of increasing your testosterone, but any of them. You need all of this to do as adjuncts for testosterone to be optimized if you do decide to go that route. But without the addition of testosterone, this has a range. It can only take you so far. So please ask your doctor. I don't know how old you are. I'm assuming you're over 40 years old. So your levels more than likely are below what they need to be for your optimal health. And once you reach a good level of testosterone, say to your doctor, look, this is your health, right? Say, I want to be like when I was 35 years old. You can choose, you can become whatever we want to be. You can decide that optimal health for me is when I was 28. This is our lives. We live once. Why wouldn't I live to the fullest? Why wouldn't want to do that? It's not my doctor's responsibility to decide for me how old I should be. I want to decide. I want to go back and do it. I want to invest in it. I want to work at it. I want to be a farmer in my own health, and I want to cultivate, and harvest the fruits. So you can decide what you want to do. Raise your testosterone levels. That's number one. Number two, and if he says testosterone causes prostate cancer, ask him, show me the studies. Show me the studies. And let's go back to the original studies. Challenge him, ask him. Excuse me. And then, excuse me. Another thing you can do, you can ask your doctor for a medication that's called Cialis. It comes in generic. So Cialis, or the generic name for it is tadalafil. You can take tadalafil, start with 5 milligram on a single day, every day, excuse me, and then see how you do. And then on the days that, say, you have the opportunity and you want to engage in sexual activity, you can take up to 3 additional tablets that same day. You're still within the ceiling. I'm a pharmacist, so I know what I'm talking about. You're still within the ceiling of what's allowed for that medication.
I'm
So,
sorry about that. Go ahead, man.
yeah.
I should have been on mute. Go
So,
ahead, Doc.
Doc,
I'll
Doc,
get with you
Doc,
that later, bro.
Doc,
Go ahead,
Doc.
Doc.
You cannot put another broadcast on today right here. I forgot you was recording. Man,
yeah.
Go ahead, Doc.
Doc, you can't be
Finish,
doing this, man. You always set me up. But anyways,
finish,
anyways.
finish
Yeah.
your thought.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah. So those are the things that many of my guys use, and it works for them. It just brings back a level of happiness for them and their significant other. And, so yeah, that's one way of doing it. It's a great question.
Hey, let me ask you something, Doc. Because you and I talked about this about a year or two ago. I called him and said, guys, this is a good thing about having a friend like Dr. Hamid. I could just be sitting around like I'm talking with Spoon, and we come up with crazy thoughts and crazy ideas. And we always like to maximize. We're like an old Chevy. You know that Ford I had, that Mustang where you said sound like a helicopter?
Yep.
It was running optimally when you heard that growl. So we always trying to get optimal health at our age now. So let me just throw something out there, because you and I have talked about some things, and I just wanted to say, Doc, that I've diversified and tried a lot of different things. And I'm going to say right now, I really don't want to tweak with what I have going on, because right now I'm good. Things are
Mhm.
kind of throttling along, and I'm kind of maintaining. So I appreciate, the different tips and pointers here and there. But what I would like to do for the sake of the group, and just kind of bring everybody into common frame of reference, and somewhat of a approximation. What would you say on an average? And we know that this thing operates from an individualized basis. So some guys are going to be up in the stratosphere, some guys are going to be here, some are going to be a little bit lower. But we just want to get an average ballpark figure as far as the average age that we're dealing with in our group is probably anywhere from the lower mid 50s all the way up to the latter 60s, early 70s. So as far as frequency and intensity of the sexual activity and the virility of that, what would you say is, we won't say, like you said, normal, because we know normal falls in a spectrum. It can go from low to high. But let's use the term that you was talking about and that was put out there for optimal. What should we be aiming for, or look at is that, okay, this is okay, and really grab our attention to say what's going on if I'm kind of seeing this, if I'm seeing some slippage or drop off in this area. So can you give us like an average or consensus?
Yeah. If I understand the question correctly, so you're asking for some indicators for performance that
Exactly.
okay,
Based
yeah,
upon the age and based
I
upon,
got you.
the average,
I got
yeah, the
you.
average guy.
So I know people for a fact, I have patients who are in their 60s, married, they have sex 2 times daily. Does that tell you anything? Yeah. So, it is, if you're not having something close to that, you're selling yourself short. Look, unless, there's
All right,
no,
now hold on a minute. Because you already give your presentation. So we're gonna have question and answer now. 2 times a day, how many times a week, Doc? Those ones that that are having twice a day, how many times are they hitting it during the week?
I'm told 7 days a week.
Come on, man.
If the
What in
opportunity
the
is there,
world?
okay, you can choose to believe me or not believe me, but this is
Twice a day, 7
uh-huh.
days a week
Yep,
in their 60s.
in their 60s.
Go ahead and
He's
finish your
taking the
thought.
medication, right? They taking
You got my
steroids.
attention now.
Yes,
Go
yes,
ahead.
Testosterone supplements or
yes,
prescription
yes.
meds. Okay.
Without supplementation and without having everything that I said, proper nutrition, exercising, that sort of thing, this is not going to happen. We can't look at this as this is a throat infection that I go to the doctor, get a prescription for amoxicillin for 14 days. I'm done with it. That problem is done. This is not that kind of problem. This is just like, excuse me, say you go to the dealership and buy yourself a Ferrari or a Porsche or whatever car you always dreamed of. And it tells you on the gas tank, if you want to drive this car, you need to put that, super premium unleaded fuel in there. You can't put regular gas in it. So you have to do, how often do you do it? When the level comes down, you have to refill it. Otherwise, the car's not moving. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So if what I'm saying sounds like a foreign language in this aspect, that's reality, guys. That's not everyone, but that's reality. It is perfectly normal for somebody who's 60 or 70 to have sex at least 3 times a week. At least.
Okay. All right. That's reasonable.
Perfectly normal.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate that. I try to tell this guy.
He likes that.
I tried to tell this guy some time back about that right there. He was telling me, nah, you ain't doing that. So I appreciate that.
Yes, sure. Yeah. You got to listen to Marvin.
Yeah, let me, Doc, how you doing? This,
Definitely not.
Go
ahead. Somebody saying something in the background.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bishop Brown. You got to get some of this, bro.
Doc,
You North Carolina boy.
Yes, sir. I just want to add something to that equation. And I think, it's worth noting, remember there's a partner involved. And
Yes,
so a lot of times, women reaching their menopause, it plays a factor in it as well. So it's two people who are dealing with a change of lifestyle that we have to understand what that is. My wife is teaching me about menopause because I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
And again, it's information because there's an understanding of what transpired in that process as while I'm going through my process. Does that make sense, Doc? Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, you are right about that, sir, 100%. And again, this talk was only on men because there's men on this call, but in the beginning, as I mentioned, everything I say goes towards women too. Yes, and I appreciate your comment. I appreciate that the fact that you acknowledge that yes, there is somebody else involved in the process, a willing partner, and the conversation actually goes both ways. So I do have patients also. I have served thousands of patients. I'm licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. So I've talked to a lot of people, and I do them on a regular basis. I also have cases where women come in and they go through whatever program they choose with their doctors and get balanced, and the man stays behind. You see, the man doesn't believe in it, or he doesn't want to do it for whatever reason. Now the woman is propped up, ready to go, wanting to go, and that causes a problem.
Yes,
it's just like, do you see?
Yep.
So both partners will have to be at the same level, and yes, absolutely. The most successful cases that I've had, and I used to run a medical weight loss program, not one of these, pills, you take this pill and then you're going to lose a bunch of weight. It really was a lifestyle changing medication. And that was the pillar of it, that one person in a household cannot make a change successfully if the
That's
other
right.
partner is not
Yeah.
involved equally in the process, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yes, your point is right on, spot on, and the best thing is to get educated for both partners. And I mean, if somebody's say spouse has lived with us for I don't know, for decades now. Now I'm gonna get better and leave her in the dust, or vice versa. Yes, yeah, it causes problems. But doing both, paying attention to both male and female issues, and of course, you know, they find this out a lot sooner than we do. Ours, the main thing for guys is erectile dysfunction. Once you know, our little buddy has problems, then we know there's a problem. What for women is different because it's the mood changes. It's the, you know, women are a lot more in tune to their health than guys are, generally speaking.
True.
So yes, absolutely.
And I say that, Doc, not that, you know, you give a dissertation for the women for menopause. What I'm saying is, you know, guys, it takes us to open up that dialogue, to have that, and it's not uncomfortable to have this conversation, to say, look, let me show you something. I was on the starting lineup, you know, and now I'm backup. So I don't appreciate being backup. So I'm in the starting lineup. You know, I I need you to understand where I am in what I'm doing. And I think those are sometimes hard conversations, even with your spouse, because if you haven't nurtured the relationship of being open to discuss any and everything, you know, you won't miss the opportunity. Well, you will miss the opportunity to talk about, you know, what survival is in the relationship, because that's, you know, in some instances it becomes the survival of the relationship.
Yes.
Over.
Go ahead. I was just saying yes.
Yeah. So I think, you know, uh, you made me go in and get my last um, blood work. I'm sitting here looking at it as you talking. I'm going down the line looking at it.
Yep.
I'm looking at everything, and you know, my doctor says, "Hey, you know, you within all the numbers." Well, that's hinged upon what she asked to look for in my blood work. But vitamin D is not on the list. It's interesting you said that. So, is there a reason for that, Doc?
Yes, there's reasons. As I mentioned, uh, doctors, they're creatures of habits. And if you, I don't know where you go, or and I don't need to know, and what model you choose, but I'm assuming. So let me make a general statement. On average, at national average, the time that a physician in an insurance model has to spend with the patient is less than 7 minutes. That's what they're going to get paid for. If I go in to see my doctor and I want to, you know, spend 30 minutes with him or her because I have questions, they're not getting paid for all that. Do you see? So that cuts into the next person's time. So yes, there are reasons for that, and they're unfortunately financial. Now, I'm not trying to say it's a doctor's fault. That's just how the system is. Imagine if, you know, we in this space, in that landscape, we almost always get what we pay for. So,
Yep.
but you can be proactive. Before you go see your doctor, have a list of blood work that you want done, you're interested in. Excuse me.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with saying, I would like to receive a full thyroid panel. I just want to see how things are. Well, you don't have any problems. Well, you haven't told me anything that I know. I want to
Yeah.
have those numbers and lock them up in a vault. So yes, you have to be, that's the system we work in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
but ask. You're welcome.
All right. Has anybody else got any other additional questions or any other comments? While we have the doc on, I want to make sure we maximize this opportunity. And guys, also let me just say that he and I had a conversation earlier in the year, and I asked him if he would come on and do this for us annually on behalf of our nonprofit organization, and he gracefully accepted. So We are very fortunate, we're blessed, and we're appreciative you accepting that. And you're going to come on each year. He's going to be our star quarterback. Coach Garrison for November is going to be Dr. Hamid's month. And so we're going to look forward to each year what he have to share with us. And man, I'm just telling you that the information that you give us and the environment in which it's given just makes it all the worth meaning. I wish all of our players could have been here today, but for whatever reason, they had other things going on or other things that they directed their attention to. But this type of information is priceless. And so they'll have to catch it on the website or they'll have to catch it on YouTube. Go ahead, Brother Brian.
Excuse me. I just thought of something. I did have a question I wrote down.
Okay.
Looking through my notes and stuff. Doc, so this question, in 2018, I was diagnosed with having 2 strokes. Didn't even know I had the first one. I was in the kitchen doing an event with my grandson, and when I went to give him a paper towel, and I collapsed, and my son caught me. And they took me to the hospital, and that's when they obviously did a CAT scan and found out I had 2 strokes. Initially, I didn't have any. I felt fine, if that makes sense. And I was thankful that, my son, my wife, quick reaction, helped minimize any, the damage. But one thing here, I won't say here recently, probably the last 3 years, I've developed tremors. And of course, they give me medication for it, it's test medication. And they're not as bad. I mean, I can control them sometimes. When I get into I guess under stress, so to speak, they'll start acting up. But I say that to say this: they put me on blood thinners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things I'm finding out about this blood thinner is you can't just jump up and just go. You got to it's almost like you reset. If I do, if I move too fast when I get up, I'm gonna have a dizzy spell, so to speak.
Yep.
So I have to gather myself first, and it's almost like I can feel, not so much feel the blood flowing, but I know it has to get to a certain part of my legs in order for me to move. And it's agitating. It's agitating to no more. So I didn't say this to my doctor my last visit because I was doing blood work, but I have it as my note to have this conversation with her when I return back, the 18th of November. So I'm trying to understand how the blood thinner function. That was, I was going to get into the start and finish of blood thinner. There's some medication she gave me for that. And there's been time, and I'll be honest up front with all of you, there's been time I'm like, man, I already stopped taking this. I'm tired of, it's aggravating, so to speak. But anyway, I'm open to hear what you had to say about that.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing that that experience. So the answer, I don't have enough information to chime in on that yet. Are you on other type of medications as well, or you're on only this blood thinner?
Well, there's a low dose of high blood pressure pills.
Okay. What is it called, if you don't mind saying the name?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it's some new blood. She just put me on this is metoprolol.
Metoprolol?
Yeah, metoprolol. That's what it is. Metoprolol.
Okay, yeah. What else are you on?
Of course, I was taking B12. I'm not taking B12 anymore. I'm over it. I'm good to go with that. Folic acid.
Okay.
And cholesterol.
What are you on for cholesterol?
Ro
Rosuvastatin?
Rosuvastatin, yes.
Okay, yeah, great. That's all the prescription medications you're on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what you're describing, Robert, is there's a medical term for it. It's called orthostatic hypotension, which means if I'm sitting on a chair and I get up, or if I'm in a laying down position and I get up suddenly, there's going to be a delay between
Yes.
my body recognizing that I'm not laying down or sitting down, and I kind of get a dizzy spell. So I have to time it and give up, and come up slowly. That's a lot of times that's a side effect of almost your high blood pressure medication working too well. Do you see? So again, I don't know the name of your blood thinner medication. Do you remember the name of blood?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's
What is it called?
clopidogrel.
Okay, clopidogrel, right?
Yeah.
It's a 75 milligram tablet, yes. So yeah, I don't think that's because of that. I think more than likely it's because your blood pressure medicine is doing such a good job and your system is just so sensitive to it that you need time to elevate and to change your body posture and your height. So enough blood gets to your brain and you don't have a sense of dizziness and all. So all of those is good. However, both your statin and your atenolol that you mentioned, they will deplete your body of coenzyme Q10. I mentioned this in the excuse me, in a presentation. So you need to get some CoQ10. That's C as in Charlie, O as in Oscar. Then the second word is Q as in question, and then the number 10, 10. Get you some of that, about 200 milligrams a day. You can get that from a reputable vitamin store or something, and take it, because that on the back end will also help you with blood pressure, ironically, and with everything else that goes on in your body. So yes, I understand what you're saying, and those are, we can look at that as a CoQ10, yes sir, as a side effect of that. Of course, with you having a history of 2 strokes, more than likely you will be on that blood thinner medicine or some version of it for life. That's just the way the medical thing is, and the reason for that is for you not to get the blood clot formed somewhere else in your body. Do you see? So yeah, I understand, but none of that is an impediment in improving your health and your life condition and setting goals for yourself. So clearly you cannot engage into martial arts. Clearly you cannot pick up boxing or jujitsu or taekwondo for
Yeah.
as an exercise, right? But you can walk. You can walk, you can do yoga, you can swim if you have access to a swimming pool or something. And there's, you can do jump rope, you can do, other things you can do. You can certainly do Tai Chi. That's that flexibility, martial art based Chinese discipline. You can do stretching every morning and every night before you go to bed. All of those you can do, and it's A-okay and perfectly fine. And my advice to you would be, as I well understand what you're saying, would be not to keep thinking about the strokes and not to, having that as a constant reminder for yourself. It's something, it's some event that happened in the past. Clearly, you have a purpose for being here. Clearly, there's a reason for you to be here. I don't know what that reason is, but focus on that. Yes, sir.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, sir. I received that.
You're welcome. Well, are there any other questions for me?
Pastor Marshall, I noticed you've been in and out, my brother. Before he wraps up and has to take off, is there anything that you needed to ask or anything you wanted to share real quick? I guess it's kind of going once, going twice.
Well, Bishop Brown shared a lot of things that I have some similarities with, and so a lot of those things that I was going to answer were actually answered. And so it's some things that he's already shared that we can do. I just need to implement. But of course, I'll probably come back and watch the video 2 or 3 times to make sure I capture all the notes. So without all the interruptions with all these grandkids.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate that, man. Thank you for chiming in. I'm going to ask my 2 office mates, Deacon Jones and Elder Witherspoon, you guys got anything? If not, we're going to let my man go and we'll do a little housekeeping, guys, and we'll be off to the races. Feel like we may be able to get a little bit of free time back today. Does anybody got anything last minute?
No, I'm good.
Deep? All right, sounds good. Hey, Doc, I want to again thank you, man, for your time. We really, really appreciate all that you have given us. I will ask if you could email me the presentation because I'm going to have that, maybe have our graphics design guy take a couple of it and make a mini presentation and stick that on our website so even the guys can go back through it if they would like, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. I'll send it to you shortly. I want to thank you, Stefan, and everyone on this call and everyone who will either hear or listen in, later on. I appreciate you guys. Take good care of yourselves. And remember, this is all about you. And be armed with the right information, ask the right questions. Don't take a no for an answer. Ask somebody else. God bless you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Hey,
God
one
bless
last
you
thing,
all.
Doc. I just remembered
Thank you,
something from
Doc.
my daughter, and I'll get with you offline. She has a list. She's in med school. I hadn't had a chance to give you that good news.
Yes,
And she has
awesome.
to put together a list of drugs. They're giving her a new list of drugs that she has to know the use, the contraindications, and the adverse effect. Is there any way I could get you that list over the weekend and you may can help her out with those if you possibly could?
I'll be happy to. It's a busy weekend for me as I got a jet here, but I'll be happy to help, fill in the
Maybe,
blanks or do whatever she needs.
yeah, maybe as far as next week.
Yes, yes, yeah. We can
All right,
chat
good
and we
enough.
can. Thank you so much. I
All right,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Doc.
Have a good day. Thank
All
you.
right, you
Bye-bye.
too.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right, guys. We've had a real good talk here. Before we wrap up, guys, let me just again thank you all for your time and your attention to this. I mean, man, this is like lightning in a bottle. I've definitely even got some things more that I'm going to add to this, guys, because I started about a month ago of doing a life change. Me and my wife doing the program together over at East Carolina Weight Management Center. And more than anything, just like the doc was talking about, it's about a lifestyle. And so I know that me doing this on my own because of the way I have to eat, getting some exercise in, things that we do, or whatever the case may be, it's just kind of had us to go in the refrigerator and take a lot of the stuff out that we had in there and put in some new stuff, go through the cabinets and take a lot of the junk that I had in there. And I'll be the first to say that, take that out and put some more healthy stuff in there. And, just going to Aldi and to a lot of the fresh markets and just getting a lot of fruit, man. I'm not probably the past 3 weeks haven't had desserts, maybe one out of the whole time. I'm just eating a lot of fruit, man, and it's making a difference showing up on the scale and the way I feel. So, for whatever it's worth, guys, we have to take our lives serious because even being instruments and vessels of the kingdom, if we're not healthy, we have, health problems, we can't get around, we can't do the things that we need to do. We have this
Yes.
complaint, we have that complaint. Then the bigger question come, how productive and how effective can we really, really be for the kingdom? So that's
Mhm.
just kind of my spiel. I wanted to put that out there. Has anybody got any last minute comments or anything that they want to say or anything that they want to put out there before we wrap up and get ready to take off from this session?
Yeah, there is one thing, Dr. Carnegie, that I want to put out.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the text thread, but I put out. Um, I went to the bank. I got a cashier's check for $200 for MOC. I wanted to do three, and the reason why I did that was because um, of all the, watching up close, being up close, and being involved in it. I see a lot of costs and a lot of things that you're doing, and I believe in what we have, and that won't be my last time. I just, I want to bring to everyone's attention. I don't know, maybe I was thinking to help out with some of the costs. We could do, everybody's budget is different. you
Yep.
know, with maybe $20 a month. I mean, at work I've been known to spend $400 a month just for lunch. For the just for the whole month, but just to help out in some of the costs, because I know a lot. You don't talk about it. I know this is not something you would say. A lot of times you come out your pocket, and then Deacon Jones he makes sacrifices too. And I just felt that, since we're all a part of this and we're brothers, you know, um, some of us, we can contribute more than others, but if we all could be found guilty of contributing something to help out, it would minimize you having to come out of your pocket. And I know this is not something that you wanted to say, but it's something I wanted to mention. And I don't mean, I'm not trying to be negative or anything. I just see that we can be more impactful and we can do more if we could have a little more support. And I digress.
Well, we definitely thank you for that, Pastor Marshall. Thank you for your liberal giving. You're spot on. The things, the works of men have changed. You've been around. You've got a chance to get a bird's eye view, so you know how we operate. You know how we roll. There is no handouts. There's no free passes. There's no gimmies. Everything requires and costs money. So anytime, guys, and that's something that has already been out there, and I'm just going to echo the same thing that Deacon Jones have, from time to time always put out there, is that your tokens of giving can definitely be used and be put to good work. And even Bishop Brown a couple of months ago had mentioned about as far as the end of the year, and we can revisit on that on next month, of just putting out a couple of housekeeping notes as far as what it's going to take throughout the year, as far as keeping the website going, keeping everything going with the YouTube channel, paying our graphics art design guy to take the straight talk sessions. He has to edit those. Those take his time, format them, then load them up. We have to pay him each month. So again, I like the way it said everybody's situation is different, but if God has blessed and you can at your time, it may not be every month. It could be quarterly. It could be once a year, whatever it is. Yeah. The thing is that every little bit counts and every little bit helps. And it takes a load and takes a stress off, a select few to keep it going. But thank you for that, Pastor Marshall, because you know my heart. And as long as God allows me to continue to inhale and exhale, I'm not going to do anything, and I mean anything, to let this ministry fail, man, because it means too much. Too many lives been impacted, too many lives been touched. Now, the last thing that I'm going to say, and I'm going to move out of the way, and I'm going to have Deacon Jones to close us out and entertain anything you guys have to say. I want to be very mindful and I want to be very skilled about what I'm saying, but I want to be very intentional about what I'm saying, because I know a lot of people, walking around and kind of tiptoeing through the valley about what just took place on this past week when it comes to the election, guys, because we're still a men of change and we still have to live in this world and we still have to be impacted. So let me be intentional about what I'm about to say without crossing any lines and trying to convince and condemn or do anything. I just want to put out what's been laid upon my heart. Going forward, guys, I believe in my heart of hearts that there's going to be some major changes. There are going to be some major shifts. And any time that there is something this hot, this contested, that brings this kind of blowback and this kind of intensity, and you have people now in the ministry, and I want to focus for about 120 seconds on our brothers in the ministry that are attacking and rebuking each other openly about their stance and what they say and what they're not saying. This is something that's going to have a reverberation for years to come. I believe that. Now, this is me. and I'm not putting this on anybody, and I don't need anybody to jump in and say, he said this, he meant that, he's crossing me. This is IDK speaking, as Paul can say. But we but to put on our thinking caps, we but to put on our spirituality and bolt ourselves down and get ready for 4 years of difficulty. This is me, like we've never seen before. Because when God has made it so clear what one person stands for versus what another person stands, and people do what they do, you have no debate. I mean, there's no quarrels from me. People have spoken. When we go back from the beginning of time, God allowed this world to be theocratic. God ruled. They wanted a king. Israel wanted a king so they could be like everybody else. God said, I've showed you. You see what this person is doing. You see what that person is offering. So I'm giving you, I'm not going to control it. I'm not going to mandate it. I'm going to give you a democratic opportunity to go and put what you want to put in place to govern you, to represent you. And you made your choice. So the people have spoken. But I'm going behind the veil. Because I know that there's some pangs and there's some angst and there's some things coming. Because I know what we're dealing with. But I'm going to be, as the song could say, I know I'm going to be okay. Because I know who I trust in and who I'm resting in. And you can't argue with it. You can't be mad about it. People have spoken. The ballot boxes don't lie. They've spoken. They've got their king. They've got who they wanted. So my take is, I'm just challenging you, brothers, to prepare yourself as you go out and you deal with your family, you deal with your church folks, you deal with the people that you work with, so on and so forth. If you start to see some things start looking wonky, you hear people start saying things, and you see things starts coming down the pipeline, just remember this is what was asked for, and this is what they're going to get.
But you know,
Boone
Doc,
says it best. I didn't ask for this, but I'm gonna deal with this. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, but
I'm
Doc,
gonna deal with it because I'm in it. But go ahead, Bishop Brown. That's my spiel,
Doc,
bro. I'll get off that soapbox. Go
we
ahead.
have to remember the people spoke from a non-moral perspective.
Say that again.
There was no moral mindset in their decision. They lack morals.
Hey,
So,
gentlemen. Hey, listen. Let me say this one.
No,
I'm gonna leave out this conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna leave out this conversation.
Go ahead.
Because I can stand on the other side of that.
Okay.
And challenge everything. So I'm gonna leave the conversation.
But we don't want
and
there
we're gonna leave on peace, okay?
All right. We don't want there to be any challenging because when you do stuff like this, you want to let people speak what they need to speak. And if you don't have anything to say, that's fine. But go ahead, Bishop Brown.
Here's my point I'm trying to make. You know,
just make your point. Everybody make their point, and we won't have no fall.
I had an internal assessment as well, but you know, you got to understand. I went back to the word. You know, go back to what Jesus spoke and said, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Right.
You know, and the fact of the matter is, you know, Rome had tyrant leaders. I mean, there's no different. We're still dealing with people of yesterday.
Yeah.
These are the same people today. You know, that's why the gospel is so important to go forward to help. Once again, you know, as using your word, Doc, you know, galvanize society into understanding what God's purpose for mankind.
There you go.
You know, so, you know, we're still in an Israelite holding mode, you know, performance. So the reason why I say morals, because, you know, you look at the morals morals of the Old Testament. That's the connection between the New Testament. The morals are still there. They didn't change. God said what I said yesterday, I'm a God that can't lie. So his word is perpetuate itself. And so, the American people lacks the standards of morals. And, we as a church really now, if there's any evidence that we got to get to work, we're behind the power curve, been behind the power curve.
Yep.
It's now going to be watch this, a tougher battle for us to do what we're doing. But the word tells us, be encouraged. I had to band-aid my office.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Because when I went, I knew, I was like, oh, no.
You're not leaving, are you? Okay.
You're not going to come in here, and let this negative energy take over our office. No.
Don't leave. Right.
No, don't. We're not going to do that.
Right.
And I had a conversation with them about, what we're saying now. But the people need to hear that for encouragement.
Right. Right.
When they showed those percentages of how many people who voted for him, what categories, I was surprised. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really was surprised.
Right.
But, I wasn't, overtaken. I just said these people, from a standpoint, they lack understanding. They lack not, they lack spiritual knowledge. And so I go back to what you said, which I, endorsed that as well. You get what you ask for.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But God is in control because watch this. It couldn't have happened unless he allowed it to happen.
That's true.
The thing I had to tell myself.
That's true.
Hold up. This could not have, God, what is your plan? Show me what I need to do to support your plan. That was my mindset.
Yes, sir.
That was my mindset. And that's where I'm going.
Gotcha.
So I don't where is Spoon? I wouldn't, I'm trying to go against what his thoughts is. I'm just telling him once again.
Well, I mean, some people get Bishop Brown get heatedly contested because their conviction on the opposite side of the spectrum is so over compelling and so emotional that it's hard to have a sit down, honest debate to hear what somebody else has to say and hear it, think about it, say what you need to say, be heard about what you have to say, and go back and forth. Because that's the way we as a people, that's what the door is locked. That's the way we as brethren, we have to dwell. See, going forward, I mean, you're spot on, Bishop Brown. There is no way going forward, if America going to be as great as it can be, that we that are not in agreement with what's at the helm can't get along and talk with the ones that voted the other way. Because see, that's what happened in the first 4 years. And I don't care what anybody say, it's proof positive. In these 4 years, it may have been against what a lot of people that come from a conservative basis may didn't agree with, but they didn't work with. They decide, I'm not going to work with you. So that's where I rest my laurels. If we're going to make this place, we have kids, we have loved ones, we know who we are without any debate. But if we're going to be compassionate, the way that Dr. Hamid came on this morning to give back to others, thinking about his friend from college, thinking about other people around us, then we've lost. Because we know we win. We know right from wrong. We understand that. And we don't have to re-debate this. My point that I want people to understand, because it's in my heart and God has already revealed, these next 4 years, people better gear down and get ready. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't argue with anybody. Don't fight with nobody. Don't call anybody stupid. Don't say anybody didn't know what they were doing. That's their choice. But here's what I want to be known. Because when the cries and the pain start, my rebuttal, and I can say this because I voted, you asked for it. So you're getting it. And I know it's coming. The
Well,
cries and the pangs are coming, Bishop Brown. And my response is going to be, you asked for it, so you get it.
I mean, and the thing is, here's the other piece to it. I'm not, I'm gonna tell you, either candidate, bears the brunt of not being, of moral standards.
Right.
That's my personal opinion. Again, I'm so, it comes back to what they stand for. I mean, people, I didn't cast a ballot not knowing what they stood for.
Right.
And so it's where God stands. Right. I'm asking God, what is it that He wants me to do? Not what Robert wants to do.
Right.
But He says I have an obligation to participate.
Right. And what
I don't have the option to sit out and say I ain't doing nothing.
No. Well,
he didn't give me that option to do nothing.
But you know what? Now say this here, and then we'll open it up to whoever else may have a comment. Because, like I said, that's what straight talk is all about. Straight talk is straight talk. Yeah. Not one way, it's open talk. But let me say this, since you went in that vein.
Yeah.
As the numbers came in and the tally started to roll in on Thursday and Friday, here was a takeaway. I had to do my own math. This was a much lower turnout this time around than was before. So when I figured it up, based off of what took place in 2020 and what's eligible as far as the country is concerned, it was determined that 1/3 of the eligible voting electorate, 1/3, now hear me, 1/3 did not vote. So when you calculate that versus what went for Trump, what went for Kamala Harris, and add those together and take 1/3 of that, that's over 40-some million people stayed home and didn't do anything. Okay? And out of the ones that got out to the polls and did what they did, it's clear, it's obvious. Nobody needs to debate that, and I don't think anybody is. I think people are just, sometimes it's just like in a fight. And here's where I was. You get hit with a punch that you weren't expecting. In a million years, nobody, the majority of the people that are disappointed. Now, the people that I was hoping for that, they're not so much, because that's what they wanted. The people that wasn't expecting that or thought that it was, clear and obvious based what both people have done, what their track record show, what their conversation is, how they carry themselves, their character, said that it's going to be very close or it's going to be obvious. But it won't. It was the other way. And he did something that hasn't been done in years, in 20 years. So that lets you know the people have spoke.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that. It took me 24 hours to say, I didn't ask for this, but I'm good with it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think Coach want to jump in. Let's let Coach jump in. I want to give Spoon, if he wants to say something, he may or may not. I want to give Pastor Marshall to say something, he may or may not. And guys, then we're going to wrap this up. Go ahead, Coach. I see you biting at the bits. You on mute. Unmute yourself.
Nobody has an option not to speak on this subject. It's like we're a cohesive group. We're brothers, and we're also a body. So we're gonna. And then, in fact, if you're not speaking, you're still speaking in volumes. So now I will say this: the country is basically ran the biggest misdirection play, if you will, back to the classic reverse. Okay, let's liken the play that our Caucasian partners, brothers and sisters over there, ran on us. We watching one direction, thinking that there was going to be enough non-support for their candidate. We thought there'd be enough non-support that he wouldn't be electable. That's the part we missed. Imperialism has a tight colonial theme. They played the one band, one sound. They played, come in, we're going to tell you who to vote for every Republican running on every ticket, regardless of immorality, regardless of criminality, regardless of racism. Vote for every Republican on the board and go somewhere and sit down. Don't ask no questions. And I saw that, as you did say, people spoke in volumes, the one who didn't vote, but I saw that they had full support. They showed us, white people showed us how to do one band, one sound. And that's how you do it. So if you ever see a nation stick together,
Yep.
how we should stick together, you just saw that play. You just saw that game and they ran the score up on us and they kept it going. The other part biblically is this. Whatever you think, what you said is going to get difficult, I'm going to tell you how difficult it's going to be. And I don't tell people much. Proverbs 22:7. We are the borrowers, we are enslaved to the rich. Period. That is not an option the way that scripture reads. We were supposed to have trained our children up. And if you follow that scripture, you look at that Proverbs 22, it'll lead you to other scriptures in the Bible that says we're not supposed to be serving no other nation. We're not supposed to be borrowing from, we're supposed to be lending to other nations. So anybody that's confused about what's going to happen, no, they just, our Caucasian brothers and sisters just enslaved us for almost the next 100, possibly 200 years because they wanted to secure their wealth for their children. They told their children, this money might not be in this bank account if you let all these races and all these people come in this country. And I'm closing right now. But they said, we got to run this for the future so you can have this money that's in the account. And I had somebody tell me that was 78 years old, a white man. And with all due respect, white man, he said, yeah, Vernon, all the money that my family had is still in this family. And it said, I seen a chest with a couple $100,000 in it that was almost 200 years old. They still have the profits that they made from slavery in their bank account. They still have the money. So their wealth is going to continue. And all they had to do was tell their children, you know, the money that's in this doggone bank, you got to get married. You got to pass this on. And Donald Trump is going to make sure that you do this. So Trump got up there after they said that in the back room. He could care less what he had to say. He didn't have to monitor anything. You didn't have to follow what he was saying because they knew that they were going to put that guy in there. We didn't, and a lot of them got quiet. I have a real close Republican friend. They stopped debating with me. They got real quiet. And then after the election, they called me. It's almost like, yeah, this happened, this day, I appreciate you. But really what they was asking me is, are you doing all right? We just ran that play down your throat. You okay? They was being very, very sympathetic with what the whole Republicans have done. And a little bit of that was backlash from what we did with Joe Biden that we thought, okay, and I'm not a Republican or a registered Democrat either. I'm independent. But we thought that we had him when we put Kamala in trying to run her. That little, that might have been a wishbone play or something. You see one man running one way and the other man getting the ball. So we ran that wishbone and gave the ball to Kamala, and they felt embarrassed. They're like, oh no, there's always a backlash and a prideful stance. So they didn't do it for morality. They could have done it to preserve their race. And I don't know if I would call them unethical or whatever the case may be. But hey, God did give kings to people who wanted a king. I think Doc was talking about that. Now, was it Nebuchadnezzar or whatever? I don't know too much detail about that I can spit out right now. They ran that play on us. Let's get in the locker room and prepare for what's going to happen. Because they got the power. And they always had the power. Okay. I'm out.
No problem, man. Hey, man, like I said, it's just brotherly chat. We're putting it out there because I know everybody, definitely saw it. I know different people was uneasy about it. I've seen, some of the things from different ministers haven't said anything. They've kept their hands off of it because there haven't been anything coming down the pike that's been this hotly contested. And my thing is that's really gotten me to a repugnancy, not because of who won, just we get so ingrained and we're so over immersed in this thing where now we've got especially brothers of color in the ministry that are now attacking each other, cutting on each other, and ranking each other in front of the entire world. Now that's bothering me. I could give two hoops in the wind at the end of the day because I have sense enough to know people have spoken. But now let me just say this, and I'm gonna be done with it because it works me up. Not because again, because of who won. I know what's coming, and I've seen this thing play out. But don't be foolish. Do not be foolish. Because after this thing, I've heard two credible sources on the other side of the aisle have come out and said there is no way in the world that that black woman was going to beat that white man. Okay? But now they dare not say that before the final vote came in because nobody knew how it was going to come. So that lets me say that these two high prominent figures on the other side thought and they knew how they race were thinking, but they were this. So now that it's over, I can tell you she didn't have a chance because they were not going to allow, as long as they have more numbers, to see somebody look like her beat somebody like him. And even went on to add to it, said that if she was a white man at her age, she'd have beat him, she'd have beat the brakes off of him. Didn't say anything about what their convictions were. Who she could have been, could have beat him. Well, now, riddle me this, Batman. I thought your convictions had you voting the way that you voted. I don't want to go there. No. But this is a brotherly chat, and we're done with straight talk. So if anybody's got anything to say, guys, you got a couple of minutes. We can put it out there. If nobody has anything to say, we're good. But if anybody has anything, we can put it out there. We're going to ask Deke to pray us out. And guys, we're going to be on our way. And I will say this, guys. Deacon Jones is celebrating his birthday. Spoon and I are going to get together. We're going to take him. We're going to get some vittles. We're going to sit down. What are you doing today, Coach? Where are you at? Are you in your office or are you out of town?
I'm over here at the office. Yeah, I'm in town.
You want to do lunch?
I don't see why not.
All right, we're going to take Deacon Jones over at Texas Roadhouse. Meet us over there in about 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Give me 15 and a half. I got a guy here working, so
all right.
But yep, sure
Take care
enough.
of that.
All
first.
right, my friend. You said
all right,
that Texas
anybody
Roadhouse.
else, brother?
All right then.
Nobody else got anything? Deacon Jones, if you'll pray us out, brother. Guys, we'll see you back next month. Same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, Pastor Marshall, before we dismiss, will you please take a couple of minutes and update the brothers on the work that you've established and the project we have coming down the pike with the brothers over there in San Marcos with Job Corps? Can you give a quick update on that? I could, but I'd rather for you if you will.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, brother. Can you give us a quick update on that?
Yes. First of all, again, love y'all, brothers. Thank y'all so much for being who you are. And we can do more together. And I'm so glad that we're joined together. Long story short, God has given us some opportunities to be able to impact young men. I know you all have heard of the Gary Job Corps. And so the Gary Job Corps in San Marcos is the largest one. It's the largest one in the U.S. And so what it is that we have been granted the opportunity to come in and start having summits, conferences, mentorships, and different things like that. We already have access to the campus. Of course, you know, they transport their students to the church as well. So they've pretty much given us, you know, the whole landslide. They house up to 1,400 students, and they want us to do this year round. They want us to have 2 virtual conferences a month, and then we will have boots on the ground once every 90 days. That's pretty much it, unless I missed out on something.
I think that's it, brother. The thing is that we have a tentative start date. From what Coach Ramon was said, I guess he's going to give us a back brief after this meeting on Monday. I think the target start date was to be January, that is. Is that correct?
That's right, January.
All right, we look forward to it. Thank you so much, man, for that update. All hearts and minds are clear. I'm gonna turn it over to Deacon Jones and let him pray us out. Guys be blessed. God willing, we'll be right back here by the same back time, same back channel for another Spirit-filled Men of Change Straight Talk. Deep, want to close us out?
Grace and peace, my brother. I just want to give you this praise update. I had a young man that I first started in I started in Men of Change, started intern with Dr. Carnegie. Some young men down at where I live at. One of them was going to school at A&T, got in a little trouble, and about to get kicked out, and he come to me and want to go in the Air Force. And I talked with him, and I turned him on with my son. My son was already in the Air Force, and I stayed up with him. He joined the Air Force. Now I want to give you this praise report. It's been about 10 years or so. I like to say that now he is Master Chief, right there from Long Point. His name is Shamar O. Jones, and he thought he wasn't gonna get in because of his situation. He owed some money, this, that, and the third. And after I got him kind of, me and God got him situated. Him and his dad wasn't talking. I got together with that reunion. They met at the house, and I told him he had to tell his dad because I'm not his dad. And I said, you're not gonna get far holding a grudge.
Right.
And they made peace. And now his dad retired Master Sergeant in the United States Army. Now he's chief. And he sent this to me the other day. He sent me a picture of his paperwork, and a picture of his scribe.
All right, awesome.
And so now, I want to say to you that I've adopted this motto: keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. I challenge you, bro. Keep talking.
Yeah.
These young guys, they need us,
Yeah.
And hey, just keep talking, and God will give you the right words to say. And I'm excited, and I did tell him to. I said, God is good. Love your family. Send the invite. When promotion comes, I'll be there.
Oh, God.
No, he did. No, he did. Boy, my deep boy, that's coleslaw all day. That's coleslaw all
Then
day.
here you go, Bishop Brown.
That's
Here's
coleslaw.
coleslaw.
That's coleslaw all day.
Let's go to the throne of grace. God, we thank thee for what our ears have heard and what our heart has felt. We thank you, God, for being who you are. We ask you to bless us now, and we depart until next time. Bless our families, our children, our acquaintances. In Jesus' name we do pray. And everybody says, amen.
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 Blessings, my brothers.
Bless.
Yeah.